Hello friends, welcome back to Pathshala. In our previous class, we discussed about the structure of the unit of kidney, that is the nephron. In today's session, we are going to learn the mechanism of urine formation. So how the urine is formed in our nephron or in our kidney. There is a series of reactions or series of actions occurred in the formation of urine. It is not just one process, it is the composition of three different processes. So we are going to discuss those processes one by one. So this is the simplest structure of nephron, as we saw in our earlier classes also. So this one is the glomerulus, formed by the renal artery. So this one is when the blood enters through an arteriole. This arteriole is known as afferent arteriole, and the exit of blood is carried out by the efferent arteriole, and the capillaries made under this Bowman's capsule is known as glomerulus, and the blind end or closed end of the nephron, the cup-shaped structure, is known as the Bowman's capsule. So glomerulus and Bowman's capsule together forms the Malpighian corpuscle. Then the tube-like structure, a coiling tube-like structure is attached to this Bowman's capsule. It is known as PCT or proximal convoluted tubule. After that, a U-shaped tube-like structure is present in nephron, that is Henle loop, and again the Henle loop starts coiling, and this tube-like structure, this coiled tube-like structure is known as DCT or distal convoluted tubule, and this distal convoluted tubule drains its content into a common duct that is known as the collecting duct. So this is the simplest structure of nephron. So now let us discuss the mechanism of urine formation. So the first and foremost mechanism or first and foremost step of urine formation is the glomerular filtration. So the first step is glomerular filtration. It is also known as the ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration. What happened in this step is the renal artery carried the oxygenated blood, but this blood is not purified. This blood contains all the waste materials that are produced as a byproduct of different reactions that occur in our body. So this blood contains all the waste products that are created as a byproduct of different reactions that occurred in our body into the glomerulus. So the afferent arteriole carries the unpurified but the oxygenated blood into the nephron. So the efferent arteriole and the afferent arteriole together makes a complex mesh-like structure, that is the glomerulus. The glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule, both the capillaries and the Bowman's capsule membrane is very thin, and it is semi-permeable too. So that is why the waste materials or the molecules of the materials can easily pass out through the glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule via the diffusion process. So via this diffusion process, the waste materials like the water, then the amino acid, glucose, some minerals, and some other products, especially the urea, that is the main excretory product of our body or our human body. So all these waste products filtrate in this via the glomerulus membrane to the Bowman's capsule. So both the membrane is very thin and semi-permeable. The blood is under very high pressure at glomerular region, means the blood that is carried by the renal artery or renal arteriole is under very high pressure. So due to this high pressure, the diffusion process occurs very fast, and the filtrate or the waste materials filters in rapid action into this and comes into this Bowman's capsule. So glomerulus acts as an ultrafiltrate. So this process is known as ultrafiltration, and the material along with the waste material along with the this amount of water that filtrate into this so this Bowman's capsule is known as glomerular filtrate, and this process is known as glomerular ultrafiltration. Next, the filtrate is passed out into the PCT, and the remaining portion is very thick. Blood corpuscles, some proteins, what I say, the blood corpuscles, that is slightly larger molecules, and the larger protein molecules also can't pass out from this glomerulus portion to the Bowman's capsule, because the pores inside this or the pores present into the glomerular membrane cells or the Bowman's capsule membrane cells is very thin. So the blood corpuscles and some heavy proteins cannot pass out from this portion. Only the amino acid, water molecule, glucose, then urea and other minerals can only, or other waste materials can only pass out through this pore, and the leftover portion is again passed out through the different arterioles. So the filtrate that present into the Bowman's capsule goes into the next step. So the next step is, our second step is tubular reabsorption. Tubular reabsorption mostly occurs in the PCT or proximal convoluted tubule and DCT or distal convoluted tubule. From Henle loop, there is like nothing reabsorption occurs. So first in PCT, the filtrate comes via the peristaltic movement. So in PCT, when the filtrate is present in PCT, some amount of water, then amino acid, minerals are, and some amount of glucose is absorbed via the blood vessels that present in beside this PCT. So the PCT, there is a vast network of blood vessels that present in DCT and PCT portion. So the excess amount of water along with the glucose, then the other minerals, all these materials, salts also, amino acids, these materials are reabsorbed from the PCT to the blood vessels, from PCT to the blood vessels, and this reabsorption is dependent on the amount of blood. Means if the amino acid or salt or water, all these materials, if sufficiently present into the blood vessel, then the reabsorption rate is less, and if there is too much water filtrate or too much salts or the amino acid filtered via the glomerulus, then in that case the reabsorption rate becomes higher. So from PCT, mainly some amount of water, amino acid, salt, etc. are reabsorbed via the diffusion process from PCT to the blood vessel. Then the rest amount passes through the Henle loop and enters into the DCT. Here in DCT, major portion of water is reabsorbed, and also the sodium potassium, means the minerals or the salts, main salts that present in the this solution is reabsorbed. So the reabsorption of water, or H2O. So the reabsorption of H2O from DCT occurs via the help of aldosterone hormone. This aldosterone hormone is secreted by the adrenal cortex gland. I told you in previous classes that the upper portion of kidney and like the small gland is present into the upper portion of the kidney, that is known as the adrenal gland. It acts as an endocrine gland. So the aldosterone hormone is secreted from the cortex portion of the adrenal gland. We discuss this hormone role or the nature of the structure of adrenal gland in our next chapter. So the not the H2O, sorry, the sodium and the potassium is absorbed, the sodium and the potassium is absorbed by the action of the aldosterone hormone that is secreted from the adrenal cortex gland. And the H2O reabsorption is occurred by the action of the ADH hormone. The full form of ADH hormone is antidiuretic hormone. It is also known as vasopressin hormone, and it is secreted by the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is situated just in this portion behind our skull bone, just in this portion. So it is the pituitary gland is also known as the master gland because it controls the action of other endocrine glands also. So the H2O is reabsorbed by the action of the ADH hormone or vasopressin hormone or antidiuretic hormone, and the water and the sodium potassium reabsorption is occurred by the DCT, and the reabsorbing water and the sodium potassium is entered into this blood vessel via the diffusion process. What happened actually is this ADH and the aldosterone hormone acts as an key, means there is multiple doors present or multiple gaps present in the DCT. Okay, so there is a multiple door or multiple gaps present in the DCT, and the blood vessels lies in this portion, means outer part or just exterior to the DCT. The gates are closed. The gates are generally closed or locked, and this ADH and aldosterone acts like a key. So this ADH or the aldosterone acts like a key, and when the ADH and the aldosterone hormone passes via this blood vessel and opens these gates, it acts like a key. So it opens the door, and the sodium potassium or the water is expelled out or reabsorbed from the DCT to the renal artery or the renal blood vessel. So this process is known as tubular reabsorption, and there is selective reabsorption occurs in PCT, because PCT the some amount of water and the some amount of glucose, amino acid salts are reabsorbed. So in PCT selective reabsorption occurs, but major portion of H2 and sodium potassium reabsorption occurs via the DCT portion. The last uh, process or last mechanism of urine formation is tubular secretion. Now, what do you mean by tubular secretion? Tubular secretion, some additional waste products like the creatinine and the drugs that are present in the blood is secreted into this tubular fluid. The fluid present in this tube is known as the tubular fluid. So this is this tubular so the creatinine and other waste materials, especially the drugs that are present into the blood vessel, are secreted via the blood vessels that are lying beside the DCT. So all these products are secreted into the DCT portion of nephron or distal convoluted portion, tubule portion of the nephron, and this additional waste materials entered into the tubular fluid. After the reabsorption occurs, or after the reabsorption process completed in DCT, tubular secretion occurs, and the fluid is known as the urine that contains only the waste materials along with the water portion. Next, actually the tubular secretion. Why tubular secretion? Because the blood vessels that carried creatinine and other drugs that passes into the DCT via the tubular cells that is present in the membrane of the DCT, and the tubular cells secrete this creatine and other drugs or other waste materials. So that is why it is known as tubular secretion. Next, these three are the processes of mechanism of urine formation. First one is glomerular filtration or ultrafiltration. Second one is tubular reabsorption, and third one is tubular secretion. Last thing that I like to include additional topic is the urination or micturition. Now, what is micturition or urination? Last process is the last and additional thing is micturition or urination. So after the tubular secretion occurs, the final tubular fluid that is present in the DCT is known as urine, is poured into this collecting duct, and the collecting duct forms the duct of Bellini and drains its content into the urethra or ureter, and the ureter via the process of peristaltic movement, from the ureter the urine is passed into the urinary bladder where it is temporarily stored, and at frequent level from the urethra it is expelled out through the body. So the urinary bladder is guarded by different types of muscles, and there is also vast network of nerves, and this process is under the voluntary control. It is also controlled by the reflex action, and also it is under the voluntary control. So when the urge to urination happens, we can some time control the urge of urination just because of this voluntary action and just because of the presence of nerve in the urinary bladder. And when the urge is very much higher, then the urine is passed through the urethra to outside of the body. So this is the detailed process of my mechanism of urine formation. I hope you enjoyed this session very well, and we will next meet in our next session. Thank you so much.